everyone, this is Jurgita with Magic and Crafts, and I'm happy that you decided to stop by for a visit. Today is June 1st and I'm starting a new month, a new season too. So with this I'm hitting up a snowy kind of scenery by Heaven and Earth Designs. Probably I should say speak slower, Heaven and Earth Designs. It's called What's This? And the artwork is, as you can see, by Arden Nixon. And I need to put in by tomorrow 200 stitches for Magical School SPEW, S-P-E-W, so that would be my W. And that's where we're starting. So this is 28 count, you can see the sparkle opalescent fabric. And I'm stitching it over one. And I think I'm doing that 2 threads over 1 continental stitch. So again, the picture doesn't express, print doesn't show exact colors that's coming out. So so yeah, but yeah, there is the Kreinik involved in the threads itself, and it's been quite few. I think I did a little bit on May 6th, and that was it in this year. And the last time I worked is practically the same time previous year. So this needs to be worked a tiny bit more, and we'll see how it works out. So let's get on to work. Well, I turned in my assignment, last one in SPW. So this is pretty much what it was before, with a few stitches kind of scattered here, and I did way over 420 half stitches. So I'm still learning to do the clicker. I know I missed some of them, so you know, it's like this is almost fully done, and I filled in this area too. So it's not a lot. I stopped because I had to catch up and I wanted to do extra stitching for May, June, and since I was coming in a month late practically, that's what I wanted to do. I had to figure out what I wanted to do out of those 11, if I can do all of them or not, and because you get more extra points for doing all 11 tasks, plus I've pulled out year-long extra credit, and I was trying to figure out what projects I can use for them to start working. So I've had to work it out for me, so just did just a little bit, but it's working well. I mean, it's not going to be humongous piece. You can kind of see another project underneath. So you have like 3 inches on this side, so that's about how big is gonna be, how wide is gonna be, like compared to my hand. So I set this aside, and I did one of the monthly challenges, or semi-monthly, and that's gonna be my dragon cushion or a pillow, and that was for number 3, which was something like a moody eye. And I had to stitch 500 full crosses to do, and had to do exact thing with the eye, not the project that has eye, as far as I understand. So I did a bit over that, like almost 560 stitches. I counted, double counted, and that's where I ended up with for that assignment challenge thing. So as you can see, it's looking exact the same as the picture, which I kind of like, that the pattern picture is not like a brighter than original colors happening. Kind of started to fill in this part to get into, and because it connects with the eye and get to the eye. So except like this little part, it's all stitched in together. So that's where I had it left as, and I'm gonna be using this for next week's, that's coming up right now, weekly challenge. But before that, I was grabbing another monthly stitching credit possibility, and that was something to do with the maze or like a grass, bushes, and geometric designs. I have a list right here to work on, and I'll show you what I worked in the past few days for that. And I had picked this Milady Chateau by Dimensions Gold Collection, so you can see the name. And up to that point I had like a little bit of the sky and trees done, and it's all done with like 3 threads half stitch, so you can kind of see. So pardon for my shyness for light. So I have that done. So then did some of the stitching to reach the grass, which was going all around here, and little bushes that travels throughout the side. So I did that, and then I started counting the grass, and just finished because it was half stitches. I had to do at least 1,000 half stitches, and let's see what it came as. So that's what I got. There's gonna be some buildings in here, and like, I don't know, is that like a yellowish grass or something like that? And you can already see the outline of the 2 ladies, and there's gonna be a guy in the top hat. Let's see, I hope you don't make you sick. So did all of that around and in between, and then there's this guy and the grass that follows them. So it was fun stitching. Just had to figure out not to do big trees, because it kind of, the same threads go intermingle in there. So we had to calculate, and there was going to be some bushes in front of the castle, and I had my counter attached. And again, I missed a few of the stitches to calculate, but I just didn't want to do all that. I knew I got way over 1,000, so that's where I had left off. And today, since it's a Monday, the 3rd, yes, the 3rd, I have my weekly challenge to stitch, and that was something that you can distract the dragon, big dragon, lure it to get a dragon's egg. And for that I picked my dragon again, because I had several things to figure out, and my Slytherin house ladies liked the idea of this as a female dragon that could you know, bat eyelashes and lure the big dragon that's near the castle in the gaming area to, you know, lure him away, and I can sneak in and get a dragon egg. Plus I think I'm gonna use the same dragon or a different, that's my beard dragon, to do year-long, I think, stitches for something that lays like eggs, like a dragon egg. So if it's a female dragon for me, then she should be able to lay eggs, right? So that's what is my starting point, which you've seen just several seconds ago. And I guess I can stitch on anything in it, so I'm gonna just continue with the head and the scales around the head. And yep, so we have to do how many stitches? A whole 1,000 stitches. So it's gonna be more than an eye or so. So need to get cranking on that, and we'll see how many hours and days it's gonna take for me to do her, and then you'll see after that what it ends up with. And I finished with just a tiny bit over 1,000 stitches on the dragon. So as you can see, I did fill in all the parts here, and there's like some here. There's a couple only spots left to do one color. So I was just trying to kind of follow the outline of a face, and the nose is about to like end right here. So I'm still loving it. It's hard to actually set it aside and put away for something else to stitch. So it's great fun to stitch, and it's easy on the eyes, even though it's with the 3 threads. So it's still fun to do. 3 or 4. Maybe I'm mixing something up. Sorry, 4 threads, because some places you have a blends with 2 and 2 threads each. So I love how the threads are laying on this fabric, and it's still kind of thick, you know, hard, but I love it. It was hard to set aside, but I had to, because I want to do as many semi-monthly extra credit stitching as possible. So I put this lovely dragon aside, turned in my assignment photo, and then I grabbed something else. And that was Mirabilia's Mermaids of Deep Blue. It's again one of my Stitch 9 challenges for this year to finish. So previously I had just a little bit of her arm done in here and a little bit, tiny bit here. I had outline arms and a face of this mermaid with temporary thread. So just finished required 500. Actually I did like 560 some stitches, and as a reminder again, I'm doing skin 1/1 full cross like a petite with the silk threads by Rainbow Gallery, and that's what I end up with. So just did several colors along here and then one up there. And again, I did a little bit differently outline in a couple places. So we'll see how it turns out. I think with these dark lines, it feels a little bit weird, but with the beads, kind of, I think will blend in much better. Still trying to learn of all over one stitching and changing of the threads, and figure out their you know, the shadings and stuff like that. But that's what it looks so far, and I might pick this up a bit later for the one part where you can stitch on something that you just couldn't put away. But there's other few projects that I'd like to do the same things with. So the next one, I don't know what I'm gonna pick next. I'm trying to get those monthly challenges, and I think I might pick up like a Pride and Prejudice scenery, which would be sorry for saying too many for something that would be considered as a winter ball with the fancy clothes, outfits, or food. And I have a Sandy Littlejohn's summer ball, I believe it's called. I have it from Russian magazine, and I used to call it gathering. But I figured the same outfits in those days they used to wear in the summertime and in wintertime, and I'll show you where is going to be my starting point. So this one is how it's supposed to look as a picture, a long thing, and I had it done up to here. So this is what my scenery looks so far, as you see the full height, and there's a lady hiding a bit behind my framing. And up to this point, all the back stitching is done. Again, I'm doing skin over 1, and it looks very weird without back stitching, like this guy, for example, and this lady, right? So this is where my starting point is, and let's see how much I can do. I have to do at least 500 stitches on this, so probably gonna continue maybe this lady. Let's show again in the picture. So we have it, her is practically full dress done, so you have up to here in the whole picture, and we'll continue on to the right. And it's a fabric, if I remember correctly, is 28 count Lugana, so it's fun to stitch. I haven't finished her skin in here yet, and there are a few stitches left that way, and I think very few stitches left on the very bottom, so I might fill that in first. We'll see. But anyway, this is where my starting point is, and next in a second you probably will see where I end up with. So it's what, the 7th, I guess, the morning, not the 6th, and just finished recording my Mermaids overview. And so for a homework of slithering extra stitching of May-June, I finished my stitching on this summer ball. So one of the assignments was winter ball, or which has fancy clothes or food. And winter and summertime, back in that era, people dressed the same. Girls didn't have a long sleeves bundled up, so that's what I finished. It needed 500 stitches, so I did all that. And I've decided to start marking my stitchy fabrics, and I'll show you like this, how I attached. It might be just temporary, I might redo slightly differently, but I've decided like mania pieces, everything that I started in the month of May, like this one is started in 2017. So I'm doing one color, and non-mania pieces I'll be doing in a different color. So every time I see a piece hanging a fabric, because I keep them all together, I'll know this is my mania piece. And on it I write, my hand was getting tired of writing when I did that, but I write the name, I write if there's different name, who's the author, the type of fabric, how I stitched, if it's written down the size of the count, and like if I do something different like black, I'm doing 3/2, and I need to write down that I'm doing skin 1/1, the start and the finish, and all kinds of notes that I want to do in here. And the same with non-stitchy pieces, but I'll show you how I attach in case you guys want to do the same type of thing. So I always mark at the same place, so it's going to be like a top left corner. And what I did, just the regular thread I've done, and I punched out, like this is like a bead dragon, right? I punched out a fabric and a middle hole, went through it with the regular stitch of fabric, got enough. I tied up. I'm gonna tie up the like a knots so it would not move, and I'm leaving quite a bit of thread length so it wouldn't be right by the piece. Then I'm gonna cut evenly because it's gonna be double the thread. Chop it off. Then take the regular I got the regular needle and get both pieces through it. Even though I have a little eye for this, of course you can do that with the stitchy thread, but somehow I was just using this, and just enough to get through. Gonna grab a very corner, kind of punch through a little bit, just enough to get the needle out, pull out the needle, and again I'm gonna tie a knot right by the fabric, and I'm do usually like minimum 2 or 3 times. I don't know if you can see, it's kind of hard to see for you. Just a regular knot, you know, nothing fancy, nothing schmancy. I'm gonna do one more time if I can get it through, and then I don't leave the extra tail, this one, so I'm just gonna cut near the fabric so I have only one thing left. Throw that out, and voila. And now I know what fabric it is, so when I have questions what you're using, I can just lift it up and say this. So anyway, this is gonna be the next piece that I'm gonna stitch for my July extra credit, and it's gonna be something that lays eggs, and this is my beard dragon. So she's very cute. I'll show you a pattern. And so she's gonna look like that. Maybe even males can lay eggs, I don't know. But yeah, so that's where I'm starting the point. I'm also gonna be working on my George piece as my challenge to do a lot of stitches. So that's what I have so far. Well, hello everyone. It's on the 10th of June. So I've worked on several projects since then, and I'll start with this beard dragon. So I had to do 200 stitches for the May-June extra stitching challenge, and needed to have it done like 200. And I finished the 200 stitches, put a picture in, and then I'll continue work on that. It was required something that lays an egg like a dragon's egg. So that's a dragon, and I'll show you how much I've done. And ta-da! So as you can see, pretty much all of the back stitching, I mean not back stitching, half stitches here on the shading of the beer, what's the jug, that's pretty much where 200 full stitches would have went. And because it's like 400 half ones, there's few put in there. Finished up the whole handle. There are a few stitches were left there, and I went all the way up there. That you can see there's this green little hobtail, or what do you call that, and went a little bit even up more, and got added a little bit of body. Didn't do much of the back stitching. I started doing, but then I stopped. So I went this way and that way and down, and that's where I stopped, because it's going to be a lot of back stitching. So I don't want to wait until the full body is going to be done, because as you can see, there's going to be a lot of back stitching here done, especially all those little scales everywhere. So there's quite a bit left to do. But I set this aside, and then I worked on a George, because I'm still participating in a stitch by stitch challenge, and I'll show you how much I've done in this. So in a George, I actually went all that time, and I finished page 34. So that's where it ends, and I stopped with that. You can see how much I worked since last time. So all of this, sucking in, all of this area has been done in what 5 days. So there's, I think it's quite establishment, but still not enough stitches. It's just like 2,000 in there. So still need to work. If you remember, 7,000 was like from this point all the way to here. That's a 7,000. So I need to make 7,500, so there's a lot of it left, and it's gonna take over 2 more pages to do it, but you can kind of see there's more blue work coming out in this area, especially less gray color. Like here's a lot of gray blob, so don't know what's gonna be in that corner, so we'll have to see together. Also, after I set this aside, I decided while waiting for next weekly homework on Magical School of Stitches, I decided to try my yearly extra thing. So I picked this 99, and because it has a number, and it's there's all kinds of beer drinking games and pong games, so I thought one of the yearly things, here is numbers number 7, there is a 700 foul things. So I've done some beers. Actually needed to do 1,000 stitches at least, and this is a 7 beer bottle, and as you can see I did over 1,000. So first one I have done previously, so just needed to be done this much to reach 1,000 stitches. So I just posted a picture on my extra credit thing, so I might use this for The other one, like I mentioned, there's all kind of things about the games, so I might do use the same whip for that. It's fun to stitch, but it's a lot of color changes, so but it's fun. I can't recognize all the beers by looking at them, but there's the list. And yeah, so that's that. And then now I'm gonna have to pick up my weekly homework since it's already Monday. So it have to be something of my favorite web that was like stolen, so I have to stitch 1000 stitches for that. So I'm debating between several projects, and you will see what I pick next. And good afternoon on the 13th. So for that homework, I picked My Beloved by Heaven and Earth Designs, and I will remind you that I just reached the edge and had a few stitches there, but mostly it was this part that was done. So I put in over 2000 stitches, half stitches. I'm doing this again on a 14 count continental stitch, and let's see how much I've done. Ta-da! So as you can see, I finished all of this part up to here, and kind of there was some interspersed few loose stitches in there, so I was filling that out if I get that color. And I managed to do that, I think, like in 2 days. On the 11th, I didn't stitch anything because I had my course practice and all other things. And yesterday my daughter had gymnastics, so I took my snow leopard to stitch for a little bit. But this one I did at home, and that's what you get. So I'm glad this is where the page is gonna end and the first row is gonna end. So there is still quite a bit of stitching left to do to finish page. I probably will leave it for another time because I wanna pick something else to help with my homework, to help slithering house. And so yeah, but this was fun to stitch. I just left all my threads sitting around me on a table, and I would pick a color and go in and click on my counter and mark on my pattern, and because I'm using paper pattern, not a digital. So that's what it is. And to compare, you see this, how to hold it up better. So this part is what you see in here, this little loose hair thing. So up to down to here. So you can see there's still quite a bit of the picture left. And this was one of my favorite patterns, I should say, that's been yelling at me. And I think it won't stop until I start on a girl at least, because he's getting lonely. So yeah, so that's how this grayish thing looks like. So you can see there's brown colors in there and sort of like a greenish colors in there, not on black. Black is like in there. So that's that. I'll be picking up my next project and you'll see that. So for my extra credit stitching, I wanted to take a traveler from my Heaven and Earth Designs, but I looked up and actually it's called Space Traveler, so it starts with letter S, and there is no S in the word goblet. So I picked this, it's called Etude with Strawberry, so it starts with a E, goblet, E. So that was my Stitch Mania start, and I did previously for different homework, but this is what I have so far to start. So I did very middle, so this top red strawberry is there with a little bit greenery coming out, and that's where is my starting point. And I need to do 500 stitches for that, and then probably gonna work on something else because my George is waiting, and because I have to stitch that pretty much every day. What I counted like 250 stitches every day, and that would give me a few days respite. I don't know how you say it exactly. Anyway, couple days rest in the whole month to make 7,500 stitches. So anyway, this is where it's starting. I'm using the same fabric. And do you know how I know that this is the top, this is the bottom? If you noticed before, watched, I have those tags that I put all the names and the information, where it start and all other extra stuff. So I always attach it to the top left corner. So I always now know which way is up. So that's a little tip if you've always wondered like which way is up, which way is down. So anyway, this is where I'm starting, and this already had some blends and all kinds of mix of colors before. So let's grab it and get this one started. Continued, probably. And it's morning of the 16th, and this is how much I've done. I had to do at least 500 stitches, and I did even more. So as you can see, the sleeve is practically all done. You can start to see more leaves taking place, and another strawberry is taking shape. So that's how much I managed to do on my Etude with strawberries for extra stitching. Also on the 13th, I worked just a tiny bit on one of my Halloweenish kind of themed pieces, and decided to pick on my Mr. Baron Von Bad. So it was stitched just like up to here, the top black. So kind of just continued with the black until I ran out of thread, and I did just another string for his webbed wings, and that's pretty much where I stopped because I was so tired. And we had a picnic at with my husband's co-workers, and it was kind of cold outside, so we didn't stay for too long in there. We had some barbecues, interesting games we played. One is called Viking Chess, I guess. It's a yard game with different pieces of simple wood sitting in the grass, and you have to knock some pieces over. I still haven't figured out the game. So that was that. And to show you, I had another piece worked, and you probably could guess what it is. You'll see in a second. And it's my George. So I know I had needle minder sitting like somewhere there, so I moved it. So what I see is about to finish this column and the next, and page 35 would be fully done. So from the needle, which is still sitting here, that's where I started at the beginning of a month. So this is how much I've done so far. I think I'm keeping on the track so far. Maybe I haven't counted fully yet, but there would be at least another full page to do, and I have 2 weeks to do it, or maybe more than a page. So yeah, so it's my George piece of the sky. And also last night, we went to barbershop men's chorus concert. I was the first time in the summer concert because I always travel that time, and it's called Ambassadors of Harmony, and they're about to head out to competition. They won quite few international competitions like Best in the World, and they had last night several quartets as a guest, and I'll put in a little bit more fun for you here at the end of this video segment. There was the quartet that won last year as the Best in the World, and they're from Orlando, Florida. I guess one of them even works full-time at the Disney World. So I had fun chat, got their CD, took a picture of them, and I hope you guys enjoy two little fragment where they were singing about previous songs being popular again in like 20 years. So I'll leave you with that. And again, this was Jurgita with Magic Pawn Crafts, and you can find me on Instagram with the same name, Magic Pawn Crafts, as a one word. So don't forget to leave comment, click like button. If you haven't subscribed, click that, and I'll talk to you next time. Till then, bye.
So now it's time to leave and make it all alone. I know that I can take no more, it ain't no more. I'm on the sea, out that door, baby, bye, 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 bye. Bye, baby, bye, 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 baby, bye, bye. Oh, so what? I'm still a rock star, I got my rock boots. I don't need you, and guess what? I'm having more fun, and now that we're done, I'm gonna show you tonight. I'm just fine, and you're a tool. So I'm still a rock star. I got my rock boots, and I don't need you tonight. 'Cause I got Uptown Funk, gonna give it to you. 'Cause Uptown Funk, gonna give it to you. Don't believe it, just watch. Yeah. Don't believe it, just watch. Yeah, don't believe it, just watch. Yeah, don't believe me, just watch. We're halfway done.